What's up, Rooted Collective? Welcome back to Awakened and Rooted. Today, we are diving into some spooky and spiritual TikToks. Let's see what's eerie, what's enlightening, and what gives us chills. Let's get into it.
While I love talking about the positives of spiritually awakening, like manifesting, and even the negatives, like isolation and heartbreak, there are some creepy sides too. So let's get into it. One is waking up from the hours of 3 to 5, and I never see anything, but I feel things in my room. It's so uncomfortable. 2, I heard a voice wake me up once, and they were showing me and telling me a song to write. I didn't even understand what the song meant, but I ended up writing it, and now it's fully recorded. 3.
So, how many of you have had those things happen to you and you just kind of dismissed them, not thinking it might have been a part of a spiritual awakening? Like the ringing in the ears I've had, the sensitivity to people's emotions I've had, just different things that you just ignore and you just sort of keep it moving. Let me know down in the comments if you had any of those types of sort of I call symptoms of a spiritual awakening you just dismissed.
Once you see her, it's already too late. Can you outrun the long-legged witch? The stories start in a small village in Indonesia where a beautiful young woman lived named Mariam. She lived in the area near Ankol and was known for her stunning beauty, but her life was not happy. She was kidnapped. She tried to escape, but her captors killed her in cold blood near the bridge and dumped her body in the swampy waters. Her spirit, filled with rage and sorrow, refused to rest. Now, late at night, people say they've seen a ghostly woman wandering near Ankol Bridge. At first, she looks like a normal, beautiful woman, wearing a long dress. She appears to lost travelers or lonely men, asking for help. Her voice is soft and sweet, but if someone follows her, her true form is revealed. She chases people, her long legs making it impossible to escape. This story is from Indonesia. Comment your country and I will make a story from your country.
Okay, that sounds creepy.
By now, y'all are used to me telling y'all stories about spiritual events that's happened in my life. And this type of stuff has been going on since I was like 5 years old. Seeing objects moving where they shouldn't be moving. Shadows standing over my bed. My wife doesn't understand how triggered she made me because she asked me to pull the closet doors off of her closet just because she don't like the sliding doors on the closet. But she doesn't know that I am terrified of sleeping with closet doors open because that's where the shadow man that came and stood over my bed came from. So periodically I wake up in the middle of the night and I just stare at the freaking closet because I'm just like, he in there, ain't he? And I know all this stuff sounds crazy when I tell other people about it, but it was my experience. And if it traumatized me so bad that I can remember as a 32-year-old man now, and I was 5 years old, there must be some validity to it, right? But the reason I'm bringing all this up is because last night I was giving my youngest daughter a bath. And while she was playing in the tub, I was sitting on the toilet just scrolling on my phone. I wasn't using the bathroom. I was just sitting on the closed toilet while she was playing in the bathtub. Now she has this toy dog that she plays with in the bathtub sometimes. It's just a rubber dog. And just out of the blue last night, she just went into a panic and she stood up and she started screaming. She was saying, "Puppy, puppy." And she would not stop screaming until I took her out of the bathtub. I'm just like, what is going on? I don't see anything. And her mama came running in there like, what's going on? And I'm just like, I don't know. She's saying puppy, puppy. But the puppy it's not doing anything. And she was saying, just because you don't see something happening don't mean that she don't see something happening. Don't you remember what you used to go through when you were a child? And I just said, yeah, I know, but it just don't make sense to me because I'm looking at it and I'm not seeing anything. Now, that's what I told her. But in actuality, what I came back later and I had to explain to her is the first thing that came to my mind was she's seeing something that I can't see. Just like how I used to be when I was a child. And it's just my way of saying, like, I'm hoping that she's not going through and experiencing the same stuff that I used to experience when I was young. Because my oldest daughter, she's already told me that she's seen things. And she's 7. Then come to find out, my mom, when I'm talking to her, she said, yeah, I used to experience the same things when I was little too. So I'm just like, is this genetic to be able to see spirits? Mind you, my grandfather was a preacher who used to cast demons out of people, and he would just point at somebody when he knew they had a demon in them. So it's like, was that like when you master the form of being able to see spirits, like you can just point them out? Is this truly genetic? All I'm saying is, as a parent, y'all don't ignore y'all child when they say that they experience something, but you just can't see it, like a monster under the bed, something in the closet is moving, or if they're just staring at something and moving their head. Like, don't just write them off as, oh, they just playing, oh, they just got a vivid imagination. You never know if God has spiritually gifted this person with the ability to be able to see spirits. Again, it sounds crazy to anyone who doesn't want to accept the supernatural as what it is. You cannot want to believe in the spiritual realm all you want to, but there's just some things that are unexplainable. Y'all stay prayed up out there, man.
So it definitely sounds like it is something that has been in his family, carried down from generation to generation. And definitely do not ignore your children when they say something like that.
Me and my daughter saw something completely awful today. We saw evil in a house we were cleaning. We saw a demon, and I know that sounds completely crazy, and I feel like I'm crazy, but like we both experienced it. It was two of us that had it happen, so I can't be crazy, right? Things were weird from the moment we got to the house. We were taking in multiple loads, and my daughter ran back out to the car, and I was going in by myself, and the temperature dropped out, and it got really cold, like so cold that I was like, oh, I'm cold. And I looked over because I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and it looked like a woman was walking through the living room, like a shadow woman, and she went straight through the back doors. I don't acknowledge things like that, so I don't let it get me scared. I just pray. I know I have God, so I said a prayer, and I turned the heat up, and I acted like it didn't happen. We go on cleaning. Things are okay. I didn't know that she was having experiences too because she didn't tell me, and I didn't tell her what was happening to me either. So before we leave, I have these 2 back bedrooms to clean. So I do the first one and everything's fine. I go to the second one and I'm in there sweeping, and I feel someone walk up behind me. Like I felt cold push at me. I kind of froze, and then it yelled, "Fuck," really loud onto the back of my neck. And you know what's even creepier? It said it in my voice. So my daughter, who is 100 feet away, says, "Mom, are you okay?" Thinking I got hurt or something. And I was like, that wasn't me. And she's like, "What do you mean that wasn't you?" And I was like, it wasn't me. So I turn around because I'm not gonna take my eyes off whatever is behind me at this point. And I'm trying to back away, and that's when I saw it. I've seen shadow people before, but you know, you see them out of the corner of your eye and then they disappear. This isn't what happened. It was behind me, and when I saw it, it had really long limbs, long fingers, and it had breasts, like it was a woman, but it wasn't. And then it didn't have a face, and people always say that they don't have a face, but like I don't even know how to describe what I saw except it had no face. I'm a Christian. I believe in God, and I was praying, like, make it leave us alone, because I go back out in the living room. My daughter tells me that she's seen things out of the corner of her eye the whole time we've been there, and she tells me where she saw it, and she tells me what it looked like, and it was exactly what I've been seeing. I just didn't get a good look at it the first time I saw it. We both started to feel really sick to our stomachs, so we just hurried up and grabbed our stuff to get out of there. And the whole time we were playing Christian music and praying for it to leave us alone. We were freezing cold. We felt like we were gonna throw up the whole time. I can legitimately say that I met evil today. I keep seeing videos of people saying that the veil is thinning, and I wonder if that's why I saw what I saw. But I also just want to know if anybody else has seen this. Has anybody else seen that thing?
Make that your last time going to that house to clean up, because for sure something is going on in that house.
Back up. That's what I should have did. As I'm walking around the store, I'm noticing that he's following me around the entire store. Stay back. I can feel his eyes all on the side of my head. And I'm just like, let me just ignore, and hopefully he keeps it together. No. Every time that I pass by or he passed by me, he says things under his breath, like inappropriate things, or like, damn, like just inappropriate things, right? So now I'm getting flustered, I'm getting annoyed. So I get on the phone with my sister. I end up going to another part of the store. Now, mind you, I'm going to different parts of the store on purpose to keep him away. But obviously, he don't really care. So he comes to the other side of the store where I'm at, and one of the employees, one of his coworkers, even asked him, like, "Bro, what are you supposed to be doing? Like, what are you working on?" And he was like, don't worry about me, like I'm working. And I don't know what he said to them, but I look up and all three of them looking dead in my face. I'm like, I'm about to go. Because so I'm leaving the store, right? My car is across the street. So I make it to my car and I hear somebody yelling, you didn't find what you needed? It's him. He comes outside of the store yelling, you didn't find what you needed? And I'm like, and I can't, since I'm not fixing to yell back, I'm across the street. So I'm just like, and I get in my car. I'm getting in my car. I'm still talking to my sister, getting situated and, getting all my stuff, getting everything situated. I look to my left. He's still standing outside the store, just staring. Mind you, this dude, it's a big dude. He was probably about like 6'5", 6'7". He wasn't a little dude. He was a big dude. So I was already just like, and so I'm talking to my sister and I'm like, girl, this man is literally standing outside of the store just staring and making it known that he is staring. When I say it's the most uncomfortable, like, bro. So he stared the whole time until I pulled off. And even when I was pulling off, he still looked as I drove off. Of all days to bring it, I should have put it to use. Because I just don't... Did I get my shoes? No. I don't even care no more.
So that one is not like spooky, spiritual, creepy, but it is creepy in the fact that this guy's staring at her, got his co-worker staring at her. I don't know. I'm almost afraid he was staring at her until she pulled off and he got her license plate. She might see him again.
Hello, spiritual TikTok. So if you happen to know me personally, you know that everything that comes out of my mouth is absolutely far-fetched and it's always true. So with that being said, let me tell you about my creepy dream yesterday. So backstory, auspicious times for me to have all of my spiritual defenses up is when it's close to my lady time or when it's nearing the full moon, okay? Around these auspicious times, a couple times a year, let's say every 3 or 4 months or so, I get visited by a negative entity in my dreams that I don't want to deal with. And I do have a spiritual advisor. He's been awesome, so he's been walking me through this. So anyway, my spiritual advisor had told me that the next time I have a nightmare involving this entity, my instructions were to use some kind of a weapon made from obsidian. And I have been soaking it in holy water and espanto muerto and then falling asleep with it either hung around my neck or in my hand so that when I do end up in the dream state, it's still a weapon in my hand. Okay, you're following. Okay. So that's what I did last night. I fell asleep with the obsidian, it's like an arrowhead dagger kind of a thingy in my hand. So in my dream, I did feel like I was under attack in the dream. So this started out with what appeared to be an incubus visit. Okay, so then as I'm moving throughout the dream, in the dream there was other people with me who I understood them to be witches or some other kind of spiritual people, okay, a group of us. And we were all kind of herded together as we were tricked to be doing a scavenger hunt. Okay, so every time we found another step of the scavenger hunt, the stuff that we were looking for, all of the symbolism in it, it's hard to explain now because of course this was a dream and logic doesn't always apply, but in the dream I understood the symbolism. In my mind I thought, things that we're seeing, this is like we're being tricked by a cult. Okay, towards the ending of the dream, this entity, in which I don't have a memory of what it looked like now in my waking life, this thing had herded everybody into a corner of the room and then started to somehow, kind of like telekinesis, started to set parts of the room on fire. Okay, so we were all being herded into a corner like, Auschwitz style or something. And this thing was setting corners of the room on fire. So how I managed to escape this portion of the dream, I remember that while this thing was somehow throwing balls of fire, I was able to hide behind a curtain in which the doorknob for the exit was also sort of kind of hid behind the curtain. So I kind of real quick counted to 3, and then by the time I was able to yank the door open and run, like I was already out the door before this entity had even realized that I left. So I made it out the door. What I remember in the dream is that I'm running out the front door of this house. I'm barefooted running down the road, and in the background I can hear somebody who I knew in the dream as one of my friends. He is screaming and crying. So in the dream I turn around. So I get back to the room in which I had just escaped, and it's like some kind of a measurement of time was kind of off, because I knew very well that I had just left this room, but by the time I had taken maybe a couple 100 feet down the road and got back, it's as if it felt like many hours had passed. But I got to the door, and I can clearly hear my friend through the other side of the door. He's screaming and crying very loudly. So I am preparing my little obsidian weapon in my hand. I'm holding my breath. I'm getting ready. Okay, so I bust into the room, and then friend's not even there. There's not commotion going on. That crowd is not there. Nothing in the room is on fire anymore. But it's a different entity that I had seen. That was it's not the same one that was throwing fire. It's just like a sleeping man, but something about his face was off, and I don't really have words to describe what it was that was off about him. But it was as if I snuck up on him when he was sleeping. Again, my friend who I just heard screaming and crying was not there, so maybe that was just like a trick to get me to come back into the room. Okay, this is getting deep. Okay, so I get there, and then I'm prepared with my little dagger thingy, and so I don't even care. He's starting to wake up, and this entity is getting kind of groggy, so I just start stabbing him in the face. I was just didn't even care, and he didn't bleed. I'm calling it a he. I guess it was a he. Didn't bleed. He just seemed shocked that I tried that. He didn't even seem to be extremely bothered. He seemed like peeved. And I don't know if I killed him, because at this point in time, I started to wake up. So I'm still kind of mulling over that a little bit, because my spiritual advisor definitely told me, go to sleep with this dagger thing in your hand, and if you get the opportunity, stab that SOB. So I don't know if he'll be back or not. My defenses are still up, but I guess I'll just be kind of ready. So maybe this had like alerted the entity. That's the kind of shiz I'm gonna pull if I see it ever later again. But yeah, that is what has happened so far. So if I ever see it again, I'll have to make another video and keep you posted. Send me prayers. Thanks.
How about I be trying not to go to sleep ever again and have toothpicks in my eyes to keep my eyes open, because I wouldn't want to go through that again in no dream.
When you talk about your spiritual abilities, always make sure that you visualize closing it off after you're done talking about it. I made that error last night. I told you guys my gift, and I made another video talking about spiritual sensitives. And the entire time, if you're a Clara audience, you know what I'm talking about. You tend to feel pressures in your ear when there's an energetic shift or when something's trying to communicate. I was feeling it the entire time last night, okay? And I went to bed not thinking of it. I was too tired, all right? But this is what happened. It was 2:34 in the morning. I remember looking at my phone because I heard the woman in our house, there's a woman spirit, my mom's seen her, crying. I've lived here for a few years. I've sensed her around, but I have not heard her up until I told you guys about my abilities last night. And my boy Harry was here. Harry, you were here, right? Yeah, you saw her too, huh? Yeah, that's right. He was sitting at the edge of the bed, looking out in the hall, when I woke up, because we both sat up at the same time and we both heard it. Okay, he's with me all the time, and he watches the door so that way, you know, in case somebody comes up the stairs. He's always been that way. All right, he watches me when I sleep. Okay, look at him, very affectionate. This is my boy. But when you guys are going to bed, or when you're done talking about your abilities, don't forget to do a prayer, close it off, do a visualization, because you can just sometimes leave it open. And that was the first time I've done it in years.
Someone I'm really close to passed away recently, and I still feel her presence. And like, do you know, like when you text, right? And you like talk to text, and your phone picks up your voice and texts whatever you say. So I'm thinking like I should call out her name and like talk to her, and then see if my phone like picks up her response, like when I be quiet, like ask her like, you know, are you here or something, and then like be quiet and like let my phone pick up her response, see if she's like here. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
This genuinely gave me chills. I recorded a ghost story the other day that someone sent me, and I'm getting comments that you can hear a voice whispering in the background. Specifically, they're saying it says stop. And I want you to see if you can hear it too. I can hear it, and I am really freaked out. I went up, and that's when I saw her. This is where I stopped reading, and I started filming.
I didn't hear it. Sorry, Audacity, I didn't hear it. Maybe if you all put headphones on, you can hear it. Okay, and this one is going to be a long one.
Okay, so for starters, this is a little bit different from the original content that I do post on my TikTok, but I feel as though somebody gotta hear this. So this is about a time that me and my friends walked into what we felt like was a satanic ritual downtown LA. So I had just moved to Inglewood, California to be exact, in October of 2019, and this specific incident took place in March of 2020. This is around spring break. Originally, me and my friend was supposed to go to Miami, but some shit ended up taking place, so they decided to come to California for a week instead. And because I'm fairly new to California, I use this app to find places and stuff like that. Whether it's the club, bar, somewhere out to eat, somewhere fun to go, I would use this specific app. So when my friends, they finally get there, everything is all good, we're having a great time, and into their third day of being there, my homeboy was like, hey y'all, let's go get tattoos. So me being me, I'm like, baby, you ain't gotta say a thing else, let's go. So I get on this app that I normally use, and I find a tattoo shop that's nearest to us. This one happened to be the one that is located downtown Los Angeles. It was about a 25 to 30 minute drive. Not that far, but because of traffic, it was far. Mind you, the location that we booked, when we got there, the Uber driver was like, the exact address doesn't have like car access. There's no like street access, so you guys have to get out and walk. With it being LA and we know like some of the streets are crowded, we was like, okay, cool, that's fine. So we got out and walk. It's about 2 blocks over and then down this alley, but the alley seemed as though it had other businesses on the street because we weren't the only people walking on the strip. So I finally pull out my phone. I'm like, okay, y'all, this is the building right here. The picture matched the building, but remind you, the ad that was on the app, it didn't have any reviews. But I was like, okay, it could be new and upcoming. That's totally fine. We still gonna go. We done paid our money to get here. Let's go. So the windows to the building were spray painted jet black, as if you cannot see in, and if you were in the inside, you cannot see out. And the doors to the building were like these heavy ass arch doors. And the doors are white, the windows are black. So I didn't have the strength to open these doors. So my 2 homeboys, they like, y'all move back, we got it. So they open the door. The doors are heavy as mind you. We finally get through these doors and we have to pull the doors open. And as soon as you get into the room, there's like 3 footsteps worth of space, and then it turns directly into a incline of stairs. And when I say the stairs are steep, they're fucking steep. It's like it went from the first floor directly to the 3rd floor. There was no 2nd floor. And the painting in this fucking room was seamless. One, there were no windows. It's like the windows that were behind us did not exist because they were spray painted jet black on the inside and outside. The stairs were black, the wall was black, the ceiling was black, and there was a light at the top of the ceiling, but the room was so black that it's as if the light was not really there. It didn't shine any other color but the darkness of the room. So the door finally closes behind us, and we're talking as we're walking up the steps, and all you can hear is the echo of our footsteps and the echo of our voice. But we was like, you know what? We already here. Let's go. So we get to the top of the steps, and this time, instead of you having to pull the doors open, you have to push the doors open. And before we could even open the door, there's this music that was catchy, but we couldn't make out what it was. Like, it's as though the music was mesmerizing, but you couldn't understand what the it was. So we finally opened the doors. I shit y'all not. When we opened the doors, there was this big, spacious, rectangle studio. The floors were like a glossy, all white. The walls were white and the ceiling were white, and there were like bright white lights everywhere. Even the furniture in this fucking room was bright white. Even the pillars that were centered in the middle of the studio was bright white. There was a few things that was not white, but because it wasn't white, it made it stand out. So there were like carcasses of like animals that were on the wall, on different places on the wall. Majority of these animals did have horns. And on each animal, smack dead in the middle of the forehead, was a symbol. It was a circle and it was a star, but it wasn't a 5-point star. And these symbols were painted in black. That was the first thing I noticed. And then if you shift your attention a little bit over this way, right here on the Bible, God strike me down if I'm lying, there were about 7 to 9 people that were in a circle. They were in this circle, and on the floor was that same symbol, the black symbol, the circle with the star. But this time, the star that was on the floor, each point of the star was lit with a candle. And in the physical realm, I would have hauled ass, but it's like whatever music that was playing had all of us lined up, stuck in a trance. And I'm like, can't fucking move, and I can only move my eyes, and I'm looking at this group surrounded, like they had cloaks on, and the cloaks were fucking black, and the top of the cloaks were pointy, but the face was covered. Like you couldn't see this part of the face, only like this part. The cloak hung down like this, where you can see this much of their profile. And in the center of this fucking circle was a man that was naked, and he was pale as on the floor with a white pair of underwear on, but he was sitting like on his knees, if that makes sense, and he had his fucking head down. And it took my homegirl to say, what the for me to snap out of that fucking trance and realize what the was going on. And it's like I fucking grew angel wings, bitch, because the way I flew down the flights of stairs, it's like them hoes never existed. Like I floated. I don't even know how I got down them stairs without breaking my neck. That's how fast I was running. So after we get outside, we shaking the up. We're shook on what the we was just about to experience. So we like, yeah, let's go home, and we cutting out activity. We didn't want to do anything for the rest of the day. So we get home, and we was all really kind of shaking up that we really didn't even want to talk about it neither, because we all were trying to make sense of what the we just saw, what the we walked into. And it's like the music that was playing was still playing. So it comes to the end of the vacation. This is like the day before they're about to leave, and one of the guys, my homeboy, I love him to death, he's mixed, but he's more than he is. So he was like, y'all, I can't really just go home without knowing what the was going on. Like, that just don't sit well with me. So I'm like, yeah, let that hoe go by himself. So In the end, they end up talking me into going with them. So y'all, we go back. The scariest thing is, y'all, it's as if we had walked into a fucking portal. It's as if the fucking place was never there. And what I mean is, the windows that were once black were a sparkly fucking white. On top of it, this new place was a boutique. The boutique was up and running, had customers, it was fully furnished. No stairs, and it was the same exact address. But it's as if the place that we had originally went to was demolished or it was used as a setup. And to this day, I shit y'all not, I cannot go back in my iCloud and find the app. And I've had the same iCloud since even before then. I cannot find the app. And then even when I try to Google tattoo shops that are in the area, I can't even find the place. So to this day, it's still a mystery for all of us. And even scarier is that same mesmerizing sound. Sometimes it still plays in my head. I don't know the meaning of it, but that's my story. Tell me what y'all think.
I think, oh my God, that was crazy. And how about the fact that the app or whatever it was disappeared? Oh my God. I feel like you all are lucky to come back without something attached to you. So that is it, you all. Those are the videos that I'm going to be sharing with you today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments how you felt about today's videos. And until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and I will see you in the next video.